few more minutes, but we just could not end this Black History Month concert without finding out a little bit more about Black history. And guess who's going to do it? The president of the Crossroads Blues Society, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Steve Jones!
Thank you, Carl. I guess. You're gonna have to suffer through this. So, my name is Steve Jones, and I'm the president of Crossroads Blues Society. And we've been in existence coming up this summer for 30 years.
Wow.
Where does time go? It started with a bunch of crazy people in 1994 down in Lanark. And they had a festival, they did a newsletter for about 5 years, and then they got burned out. Things moved kind of up here. Craig Zang was the president. Kind of moved up here to Freeport. Bob Lowther from Freeport was the president. He's passed away. Actually, Craig passed away about a year and a half ago, too. But and then things moved over to Rockford. Mark Thompson took over. He was president from about 2000 to 2000, early 12, and I became president in 2012. I joined in 2004, and coming up on 20 years that I've been involved with it.
Wow.
And yeah, I can be that crazy. But it's a great organization, 501c3, incorporated here. One of the first people I met, and the first of the Cole brothers I met was actually Clyde, who was playing with Port Blues and with Ernie Brown and Ernie and the Po Boys, and some great bands. Give it up for Clyde. He's a great musician. And then a few years ago I met his brother, his younger brother, Mr. C, and we started doing blues in the schools. I saw that his talents would fit in our program. And that's what kept Crossroads alive. In 2001, the club was dying. People were losing interest, didn't know what to do, had no focus, and so they started plotting and planning. And in 2002, they got with Fruitland Jackson, a bluesman from Chicago, and started doing blues in the schools in May 2002. And that was the kickoff. And they did about, on average, about a dozen programs a year until about 2013, because that's what we were raising money for, to do those programs, and it was great. And then we, in 2010, we started doing a festival. In 2014, we moved it to Rockford. 2015, we really had money finally. And so we started expanding the programs from that dozen, 14 a year, to 60, and then 90, and then 140 in our peak year, and then COVID came. But we still did, we still got creative, and we did programs at online, and we did lessons on them. We did after school guitar programs at schools in Rockford. We did whatever we could. And even during COVID, we were doing 90 programs a year. And we've done at least 90 programs a year since then, which is cool. And now we're up to 890 programs. Will be most recently with Mr. C, and for 113,000 kids have gotten to listen to the blues. And that's one of the lousy slogans that all the blues people use, and I say lousy because a slogan means nothing unless you do something to make it happen. And keeping the blues alive is something that everybody says. But the only way you keep the blues alive, well, there's several ways. One, you teach other people about the blues. Two, you help people play the blues, create paydays for musicians, and just present the blues so people can listen to it. And part of our education process is, tomorrow we're having our Black History celebration at the Norgloff Center with Cheryl Youngblood. It's a free program at the J.R. Sullivan Theater on Main Street. We also have Trinity Rucker. She's the Rockford Youth Poet Laureate, is going to open today with a poem. And then Cheryl Youngblood from Chicago will be there with her band doing some blues and soul and gospel for us. So it's going to be a fun day there. We are also doing we do a festival, a couple festivals in Rockford. But the Masonic Temple people asked me after last summer to come talk to them, and on April 20th, we're doing our first Freeport indoor festival at the Masonic Temple called the Spring Fling. And we got postcards out there. I'm not going to talk about it. If when you go out, you're going out the back door, there's postcards about that where you can come see. It's going to be a great day. That's $10 in advance and $15 at the door. And then any money we make from that will go to Blues in the Schools. Lastly, before I talk to you about the history, we found this movie. It was made in 2006 called Cheat You Fair, the story of Maxwell Street. And Maxwell Street is really a cool story. It was one of the few places spared by the Chicago fire. it was then became a home for the poor, because all the poor had no place to, so they moved to the west side of Chicago. And then the Great Migration was also going on. So the black families trying to escape Jim Crow and looking for a better life, better jobs, not being farmers anymore, came up north. They didn't escape Jim Crow, because Jim Crow was everywhere, unfortunately. But they did get better jobs and moved to Chicago. And Maxwell Street became a place where the Jews who came from, who moved here from the Depression in Europe, and black people from down south got together, and they used to joke together. We saw no color. The only color we saw was not black or white. We saw green, because we all want to make money. and it's true. Now on Sundays, the Maxwell Street Market was open for many years, until 1994. And that Maxwell Street Market was like opened at dawn and went till dusk. It was this massive flea market with blues musicians playing up and down with 16 square blocks until 1994, when Mayor Daley and his henchmen conspired to turn all the lands over to UIC and also make condos and make some money and destroy Maxwell Street. So this movie is in 3 acts, narrated by Joe Mantegna. We thought it was great. Nobody ever saw it. Nobody in the blues world ever saw it. So we're promoting it. We just paid for a reissue of the movie, and it's a great movie, 90 minutes long, and we wanted to add something different to it. So some of the big guys, big guns that were being interviewed were Buddy Guy, Bo Diddley, and Junior Wells. So we added interviews, about an hour worth of interviews with those guys, and redid the packaging. My daughter, who's a graphic artist, contributed her time to do the packaging, and we got with Phil Branch from the movie maker. We added the materials. So we're going to get these out there, and we'd offer one to anybody who wants to see it. You come out here to Highland and do a free showing of it. And if you've got a movie screen and a projector, if you don't, I've got a projector, so we'd be happy to come out, or churches, or if you want to see it, we'll be happy to bring it out to show you. So
wonderful, that's wonderful.
So now I've done business, so I apologize.
Beautiful.
So before we start our Blues in the Schools programs, we talked a little bit about music. And here we are celebrating jazz tonight, right? And jazz is as part of Black History Month, it goes like peanut butter with jelly. It goes. It's just a great fit for Black History Month. The black African Americans gave us jazz. But where did jazz come from? It came from New Orleans, obviously. But where did jazz come from? Well, jazz arose about 1900 to 1910, but it was based on people who didn't want to be sharecroppers moving into the cities, wanted to have a better life for themselves. And jazz emerged as the first urbanization of the blues. What we call the blues, maybe country blues, emerged after emancipation from about 1865 to 1900 as the people left and moved farms and moved into towns and cities. Blues music became apparent to everyone that the blues was a great form of music. So as it came into New Orleans, the first kind of music, first baby that blues gave, and gospel arose at the same time. Gospel and blues really are the same. One is secular, one's sacred. And it's really the same, very much the same music. Jazz is the first baby of the blues. And also, the second baby of the blues was a mixture of Celtic music and African American music, and that became country music. And then the blues got popular in all the cities throughout the South. And really, women took off with the blues. If you look at the 20s, when the first city blues with ensembles behind them, it was really women that were making the blues popular. Ma Rainey and Victoria Spivey and Bessie Smith and all these great singers had these ensembles that they took with trains across the Chitlin Circuit down south, up the vaudeville circuit. They played from the deepest south to Harlem, to the west coast in Oakland and San Francisco, and all over the place. And they took the blues out. And at the same time, recordings got popular. And around the same time, radio started getting popular. So we had all these things working in the 20s to make the blues get popular and become recognized. The 30s, well, jazz was cool. You can't dance to jazz. Swing music arose. And this is, I apologize, because this is kind of an oversimplification, but it's a good, from an elevator speech point of view, it works. So swing music became the next form of music that was given to us by African Americans and was adopted by whites. Benny Goodman, Louis Jordan. It didn't matter if you were black or white. Swing music was something everybody enjoyed. And then in the 1940s, the Great Migration was coming to an end. 1900 to about 1940, millions of people moved from the South up north looking for a better life. And they brought the blues with them. And they moved from the South to noisy cities like St. Louis and Chicago and Detroit and Oakland and New York and Washington. And all these places, electrified versions of the blues came to be. And who doesn't know Chicago blues and Sweet Home Chicago, all the stuff that they took from Robert Johnson and turned into electrified and amplified mics and amps and what have you, electric guitars. And also around the same time, blues got more urbanized, and R&B in the 40s also came to be. And then in the 50s, in Memphis and other places, R&B and Chicago blues, urban blues got mixed together, and then West Coast blues and R&B, and it became rock and roll. And then it went overseas, and the British brought it back to us. Their rock and roll was really just amped up and sped up blues. And they brought the blues back to us with the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, and then Led Zeppelin and all those bands who brought the blues back. And then in the 60s, R&B kind of evolved a little bit into soul music. And soul music still remains very popular today. But then, more things happened, and African-American music evolved further and gave us more new music, and we got disco, God forbid, but we did. And good disco is good. I like good disco. It's schlocky disco, but the good disco was really cool. So we got a music we could dance to that came in the 70s. And in the late 70s, early 80s, hip-hop. Disco gave us DJs gave us hip-hop. In the late 70s, mid to late 70s, in the Bronx, and then later in Los Angeles. Hip-hop and rap came to be because of all the prior music. So all of these music, these are all the forms of popular American music, and they all go back in time. If you go backwards from what I said, they all go back to the blues, and the blues come to us from three things. Come from African rhythm and music and oral tradition, come from field hollers and work songs. People were working, they wanted to make the day go faster. They sang. And third, they went to church on Sundays. That was the only day of the week they didn't have to work. And they learned about choruses and verses and bridges and song formats. So you mix church music, field hollers and work songs, and African music, rhythm, and oral tradition, and that gives us the blues. Wow. And that's where all of our popular music came from. Wow. And I'm sorry if I bored you to talk too much, because my kids are here to warn you, don't give Steve the microphone.
It's amazing.
But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So thank you very much for having me here today. Give it up for the Coles to put on this great event.
Wow, that is fantastic. And he does that in the school too. Mr. Steve, you are just unbelievable. And because of you, we can bring a 12-year-old saxophone player up to hit a little blues with me, and I'm going to sing one of the songs that we do in the schools, and then we're going to finish up with that good old gospel that he just talked about. Ladies and gentlemen, will you help me welcome again Sam Marte on that saxophone, and Mr. Ryan Swanson is going to kind of electrify it a little bit. And we got my brother Clyde, we got Tim Austin. He is just shining so brightly till I won't look at him. And my son Andrew, he and I are going to have a conversation. Mr. Jones, guess what you did?